All right, everybody, and welcome in to the Pillow Talk edition of our streaming day. I am Pugs Moran. We do 2 streams a day here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. We do the high noon stream we didn't do one today. So I had plans. I had something else I had to take care of. We do a high noon stream that comes on Monday through Friday, noon till, whenever, typically 2-ish, 1:30, 2-ish, 2:30-ish. Sometimes it really does all depend on what's popping off on any particular day, because that's what the High Noon Show is about. If you're looking for something to listen to during the day that isn't about politics, it isn't about you suck for voting that way, it's not about culture wars, it's not about nonsense. What it's about is all the things that are happening in the world. We go through the headlines, the hot topics, trends, whatever it is that people are buzzing about. If it's making news on any particular day, we cover it for you right there at noon here on the Radio Misfits podcast and now streaming platform. We do need to bring in, let's bring in James Parker, because of course James Parker is one half of what we have here. This is Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. Hi, James.
Hey, Pugs. How you doing? Thanks for having me on my own show.
Right. Are you enjoying the smooth jazz?
No.
Just take a moment. Take a moment. It's one of the greatest songs ever written. Certainly greatest instrumental ever written, for my money. This is probably one of the 5 most famous jazz instrumentals of all time. Yeah, Train's got a little bit, Miles got a little bit, but come on, tell me you don't want to be at like a 1965 pool party, dressed in a tuxedo and just grooving with some girl in a beehive. Because this is how they used to go. You ever seen that?
Is that what you get out of this? Because this feels more like 1947, and I'm in a zoot suit.
Oh, dude, this is 1965, the height of the swinger. This was the theme to Hugh Hefner's Playboy After Dark. When Hugh Hefner had his world's coolest talk show. Have you ever seen Playboy After Dark, dude?
No.
All right. Well, the reason we're doing this is because Ramsey Lewis died today. Ramsey Lewis was an actual friend of mine. He was a guy, one of the legends of jazz. Died today at the age of 86. You know who? I mean, look.
No, I don't.
You don't know. I mean, right? People don't know jazz.
No,
I don't know.
Don't know jazz.
The only reason I know jazz is because I used a lot of jazz music as instrumental beds over the years. I'm not a jazz guy. And then I got to know Ramsey a little bit in the 1990s. And I don't know. I mean, I can appreciate Miles Davis. I can appreciate John Coltrane. I can appreciate, Ramsey Lewis, the Ramsey Lewis trio. Here's his deal. Okay, so he was a big jazz guy. He has a handful of number 1 hits. He was a big star in the 60s.
What's his name again?
Ramsey Lewis. The Ramsey Lewis trio is one of the...
I don't think I've ever heard that name.
It's jazz, right? I mean, if you don't know jazz...
I know some jazz artists, but no,
you
don't know this one.
I mentioned John Coltrane. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, Miles Davis, all that.
Miles Davis, sure. So those are the big ones. But he died today, and he was awesome. Ramsey Lewis was awesome because he was a globally famous jazz guy. Would play for the Queen of England and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Globally famous. He would. You don't know who he is here, Tyler, Texas, right? But
Vladimir Putin might know who he is.
And he sells out in Geneva, Switzerland. These grand. We're all
Yongwei Malmsteen,
that kind of stuff, right? So everybody's got a niche. But what he's done, what he did, additionally to being the leader of the Ramsey Lewis trio and having a number of hits, and I'm just gonna let the in crowd play because I like the in crowd. He then went on and became a morning DJ in Chicago for 40 years. He's now it was the smooth jazz station in town. It was, but he nationally syndicated. He was the morning show guy for most of the smooth jazz stations up until about 10 years ago when he got too old and had to retire. We did back in the 90s, we did an April Fool's joke. This is how I got to know Ramsey. We switched shows. where my wacky morning show, which was on a station, Kevin Matthews show on the Loop, we switched for the day with the new age jazz station. So we went over and did our show on their channel. And imagine trying to do that today in like the corporate way of radio. Imagine Clear Channel allowing CBS's morning show or Entercom's morning show to come. Just as
the cool thing that is sort of close to that is I've seen over at the Ticket where they do the wife swap. I think once a year, the co-hosts all switch shows. And so like Corby's on with the morning show and Gordon Keith is on with the hard line. And yeah,
that's great. That's the way you have to do it now. But like, back in the wild days of the 90s, man, you could call your crosstown. Well, actually, no, you didn't. We didn't call the crosstown rival. We called the smooth jazz station, right? Like we're not in competition with them. No. They thought it was funny, so we did an hour over there, and then they did an hour on ours, and it was very funny. But Ramsey Lewis was just a gentleman, just such a classy, sophisticated, like sitting there. He smoked cigarettes in the studio. He smoked his like fancy French cigarettes because, he's a jazz man. He would smoke these cigarettes, and it was like long past the time when anybody else was allowed to smoke cigarettes. Like, you know what I mean?
I never saw that. Smoking cigarettes. Yeah, I never saw that with my own eyes.
God, they used to be disgusting. They used to just be constantly. Anyway, there you go. Ramsey Lewis died today. I was shocked to see that. Not shocked because I knew he was old, but I remember what a nice man he was, and what a cool, just fucking cool, man. Just like some people are just cool. He 80 years old. He's still dressed to the nines. Still looked like he could have, a couple of Playboy Playmates, on his arm. By the way, you're unfamiliar.
Do they still have Playmates?
Dude, does Playboy have nudity? Didn't they?
Do they even have a magazine? Do they? They're probably just like a website and a channel now. Do they even have the magazine?
What is Playboy? I don't even know what it. Didn't they like 5 years ago shock the world when they said no more nudity? I thought that was something that Christy, who waited for Hugh to die, I thought that was like one of the first things she did was she stopped nudity in.
That sounds vaguely familiar. But I mean, when's the last time I got a magazine of any kind?
Right. Right? Like when was the last? However, okay, so you're unfamiliar. Ramsey Lewis was the orchestra leader. He was Hugh Hefner's, Paul Schaefer, I guess, on the Hugh Hefner.
Oh, on the show. Yeah. So how was that? He hosted a show. Okay. Was he any good? He didn't seem like he has a bubbling personality.
So, okay. So you're unfamiliar with this. You've never seen Playboy After Dark. You don't know what okay.
Well, I the only Playboy I really saw when I was growing up was Scrambled. And so like I'm aware it existed and I heard other people talk about it, but no, I didn't get to watch any Playboy growing up.
Or whatever was in the box in your grandpa's garage, right? You had a bunch of Playboy stashed out there somewhere. That was it. That was the only way you saw Playboy.
My dad had some magazines.
Sometimes I'd go to a barber shop, there'd be a Playboy. I'd look at it over an old man's shoulder or something.
Oh, look, Jeff knows. Playboy brought back nudity in 2017.
What did it last, like 6 months?
Jeff would know.
Jeff would know. So Playboy After Dark was a television show that started in 1965. And this was back when
what was this on? They didn't have cable back then.
It's on like ABC or CBS.
It was on like ABC. Hey, this pornographer is going to host a show.
1965. Yeah, he wasn't a pornographer, dude, until we started listening to the religious right. He was the coolest guy in America in 1965. Nobody had a fucking problem with Hugh Hefner until Reagan and all you right-wing weirdos got involved. Yeah, he did. He had CBS. I think it was on CBS.
That's really cool because back then, like, they even had twin beds for Lucy and Desi or whatever. And
this was late at night. This was on, I believe it was opposite Carson. And, I don't know if it was. I think it was one.
Was it good? Just tell me, was it good?
Yes. Yeah. Was it good? It was the coolest. If you ever want a time capsule of what it was like to be the coolest guy in the club in 1965, tune into an episode of Playboy After Dark. Let me tell you what this show was, okay? Now, it originated in Chicago at Playboy headquarters when Hugh Hefner was still living there before he moved to the mansion. Playboy headquarters was always, the Playboy building was in Chicago. So the stories that occurred between the Playboy building and downtown Chicago.
Where's the Playboy mansion then?
The Playboy mansion that I think our generation knows is the one in the Hollywood
Los Angeles?
Yeah. But the in Chicago is still there. It's a big ass mansion in downtown. So, the original Playboy Mansion was in Chicago, and Hugh Hefner had these legendary parties at late night at the Playboy Mansion where fucking everybody showed up because he was Hugh Hefner. I mean, like, ding dong, who's that? Sinatra's at the door. We'll tell him to come in. And Sinatra would walk in with like 50 babes. This great. So Hugh Hefner, one of the people in his world, said, why don't we make this a TV show? And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, your parties. Why don't you just have a nightly TV show where people just tune in and they see what it's like to come to Hugh Hefner's late night party? And the whole show was just a camera. It was revolutionary for 1965. He was being tracked by a handheld camera around his penthouse as he dipped into conversations that some of the most fascinating people of the time were having. It was, you go to a party and you got to work the room as the host. That's what it was for an hour. No desk, no nothing. Just he'll walk over and be like, oh, who do we have over here? Oh, hey, buddy, ladies and gentlemen, Buddy Hackett's stopping by. Who's the lovely lady on your arm, buddy? I don't know. And he'd have some girl and he's like, hey, buddy, why don't you do a few jokes? And Buddy would stand up, he'd climb on the coffee table, and all of these party people would just start, and he'd get up and start doing jokes for James, it was genius. It was a genius television
Why
show.
isn't anybody doing that now? Because that sounds pretty damn cool.
Dude, here, look at this. Look at this, okay? Look, I'll just pull it up. There's fucking... Oh, excuse me.
How do I not know about this before?
I don't know. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh. YouTube is not downloading. Well, do I have too much stuff going? Here, I'll show you how it opened.
I definitely do.
Also, Playboy... Oh, look at this. Playboy After Dark, full episodes. It's the first thing that comes up. All right, first season Playboy After Dark. Okay, so this is what it looked like.
Okay, so the band and everything's at his house. This is all at his house. Or at the Playboy Mansion.
There's a dude playing piano at his house, and that dude is Ramsey Lewis.
There you go.
It's celebrities just milling about, just acting like he's bumping into, oh, look, it's Robert Wagner. Hey, Bob, when did you get here? It was like that kind of thing.
But look, that sounds like a stupid show, except for when it's 10 o'clock and you just want to goof off.
Not a stupid show at all. Not a stupid show at all.
No, I'm saying it, intellectually speaking, it's like this is going to be just some shallow, small talk, celebrity worship kind of thing. No. When it's 10 o'clock at night and you would just want to dip in on conversations. No.
Yeah, you're getting. It's like, oh, look, it's Maya Angelou. I mean, it was like people that weren't going. It was big, important people of the time. It wasn't like, I gave you a couple celebrity names, but it was like weird, like philosophers. They had they'll bring out oh, well, this is my buddy. He's the chairman of General Motors. Come on out, Phil. And then Phil, the chairman of General Motors, would come out and he'd go, oh, this is my friend Abby. He's a hippie. Abby Hoffman. This is the guy who runs General Motors. And then they'd fight for 5 minutes.
Cool.
It was freaking, but it was real conversation. It was not like today. Everything's fake today. This was live without a net, boy. This was crazy TV. Here, let me see if we can show a little of this just so you can get the... Is it showing the Playboy thing?
Yeah, it looks perfect.
All right, let's hope the sound works. I do not think it will.
It is.
All right, so here's the open. There's Hugh leaving the Playboy Tower in downtown Chicago going to the mansion.
Look at that old limo with curtains.
Curtains in the limo.
Well, when you don't have tinting, did they not have tinted windows back then?
All right, Ray Hastings, Pat McCormick. That's supposed to count. Sue Rainey.
Well, it said someone else was the band.
Yeah, this was the first episode. Buddy Rich, Mo Williams.
How long was the show on?
Oh, years. It moved to California with him. It was at one point 5 or 6 years, maybe. Hold on, you got to see how it opens. All right, so this is the opening. After they used to burn about a minute and a half of time of the show for opens.
Yeah, they used to have really long intros to these shows.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. We're going up to the penthouse. Oh, the Playboy penthouse.
Ah, okay.
Check this out. Here's the show. This is the show.
Very good to see you, bud.
Look at you,
And welcome to
Hefner.
you. I'm Hugh Hefner, your host. I don't know if you recognize me. We're having a little fun here. This is Sue Rainey, who you came up with. I'm not sure whether
Barbie
behind
Benton
that
back
foliage
there.
you're going to recognize some of our other friends, but this is Buddy Rich. Hi there.
Oh, Buddy Rich,
And
legendary
back
jazz
behind the
drummer.
piano, James Cotton and Joe Williams. Oh, you look like Fu Manchu. That's right. Kind of wild.
All right, I don't know if the sound is working, and
Good enough.
Chat room's probably having a shit fit. It was an hour.
Was that a real mustache yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people
He
did
had
crazy things with facial hair back in the 60s.
I never saw that before.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds excellent.
Hey, James, what do you say we do a little monologue here?
I would love to do a monologue. I'm so glad you asked.
Okay, let's. Oh God, I'm sneezing. This is not good.
Christ, dude, what the hell?
Here we go. That's James Wilson Parker. I didn't really want to do a big intro. I'm not feeling great.
You want to just quit?
I got you. No, never. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Want to just quit? There's a whole bunch of things. Oh, there you go. All right. Never quit. All right, James, let's do a monologue. Hit it.
Thank you. Congratulations to King Charles. After 73 years as a prince, he has ascended to the throne, catapulting him to the new level of uselessness.
Okay. I didn't have it pulled up. I wasn't ready for that. I X'd out everything. My bad.
The Queen's death wasn't a surprise, though. In fact, King Charles had already purchased a king-sized bed. I'm ready for the thing.
Are you kidding me?
Because it's a king-sized bed. Yeah, he saw it coming. He how would he know to buy the bed otherwise, Pugs? Border Protection agents seize a truck carrying 545 pounds of cocaine into the U.S. from Mexico. The good news is tonight's Emmy Awards is still able to go on.
Yeah, look at that.
Cocaine. I'm not hearing any of the sound effects. What is going on?
You're not hearing any sound effects?
I heard.
Hold on. What about now? That? You hear that?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. So New York's Fashion Week is featuring plus-size models again this year.
How's that? Is that better?
There you go. To give you an idea how.
That good? Okay. All right, go ahead, James.
I can just quit.
No, I really want to be a part of this.
All right, New York's Fashion Week is happening again, and they're doing plus-size models again this year, Pugs. In fact, these girls are so big, they're having to have the runway show at LaGuardia.
Oh, look at that.
I think it was JFK last year. I don't know, Newark, Teterboro. Nothing?
What do you mean nothing? You didn't hear that?
No, I didn't hear that. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I heard it fine. Anybody in the chat room, are you hearing anything?
Did you hear the little John Cena horns? Yes, Jeff, the jokes do need the sound effects. That's the whole bit. I am not funny by myself. I didn't say they suck.
So not hearing anything. So
no.
So did you guys not hear anything of the?
I heard the ricochet, and I hear the applause. So I hear what's coming out of your 360 over there, whatever you got.
So this is not coming through. So that we're not hearing. You're not hearing this.
No.
Hold on. You didn't hear that?
No.
Applause?
No.
Okay. Well, it no longer works from, there you go. That's all. We just can't, we don't have sound effects anymore. Doesn't work anymore. I'm just, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
You have something, you have your channel muted over there, or you have the.
No.
All right, screw it. Screw it. Screw the monologue. It's over. We can't even finish what we started.
Hold on a second.
Man, it was such a bad day, man.
Look at the sweat pouring off me. I'm having a bad day too. What's going on with you?
Oh, I do like the whole game experience was kind of a beating. Then I found out this job.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's set this up for everybody. So you went to the game last night. You went to the Cowboys Tampa Bay game. You came into town. You have a friend friend of the family who you have a running rivalry with regarding Tom Brady and the Dallas Cowboys. You went last year with her to Tampa, where the
Mhm.
Cowboys lost in the last second, right? It was a last second loss. Isn't that how it went down when you were in
Yep.
Tampa? And then last night was the make good. It was your turn to, have
Return the favor. Yeah.
return the favor, and you got your ass kicked. You showed up here at the big house. We were happy to afford you some accommodations for the evening. You showed up about 12:30, a little drunk. I think you were a little drunk. Went to bed. Never saw you again. So now fill us in. What happened?
What's the date? When's the last time you went
Well,
to the football game?
a pro
NFL.
football game, an NFL. It would be before the pandemic. So it's been 2 years, 3 years.
Oh, 2 years? Well, that's not that bad. Now, I've been to like when I was living in New Orleans, I probably went to like 6 Saints games. Hell, maybe 10 if you count preseason. But I worked like 4 blocks from the Superdome. Same thing for if I went to a Pelicans game, it's right next to the Superdome. I would always park at work and walk over there, always. And so I haven't paid for parking at an NFL game since when I was in Dallas previously, since like 2004 or something. Man, when I pulled up and to get into the parking lot, what have you when's the last time you paid for parking over there? Did you know it was $50 to park?
I went to a Ranger game a couple of weeks ago, and it was only $12 to park. But we walked about a half a mile. We parked at one of the furthest lots. It was the first one off the highway. Other people
I'm
were
guessing
parking
100,000 people weren't going to that.
No. This is so it was $15 for like real far away parking for the Ranger game, but $50, you paid $50 to park at a
Just to
football
turn
game.
my car off and occupy a little rectangle of concrete. Yes.
That is absurd, man. That is why when people say a civil war is coming, I don't completely blow it off. $50 to park? Yeah. People got some gripes. People got a reason to be pissed off. $50 to park.
Well, if the market's willing to pay it, and if it goes any higher, you're going to get some pretty good solutions. Like people will Uber there, or they'll be dropped off there. They'll get like someone to drop them off, or they would carpool. So there would be a lot less usage of the parking lot if they price it too high. But people are just willing to
The
eat
market
it.
is not willing to pay it. I'm not willing to pay it. You apparently are.
Yeah,
I'm not willing to pay it.
What was I going to do? Park at Six Flags and walk over? Yeah.
Yeah, man. Park somewhere else. Find an apartment complex. Call an Uber. Absolutely.
Oh, man, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Well, maybe I should have done that. But anyway, I didn't. So I parked, and it didn't say like lot F or lot 28 or whatever. It just said parking, Dallas Cowboys, go Cowboys. So I was like, all right, I don't know where I parked. So I'm going to take a picture of my truck and have the backdrop of this building so I know that it's that way. It's at least in this general direction if I'm looking away from the stadium. So then I had to walk like half mile, it feels like, to the stadium. And it's funny because right next to some of the parking lots across the street, there's just a normal old Arlington apartment complex. And then there's like some little row of offices that has like a orthodontist in it, and then like a title insurance place, or, just your dinky little dork offices. And they have like 8 parking spots in front of their office. They had theirs roped off, and a guy was about to pull into one. He goes, "Y'all got any spaces left?" "Nope, we're all full." "How much would it be if y'all weren't full?" $160.
Okay. What if the
And
president
her lot was full. Her lot, she didn't have there were so many people that were falling all over themselves to pay it, because the $50 lot is a half mile that way. So if you want to cut a half mile off your trip or something comparable to that, $160, people are willing to pay it.
It's an absurdly expensive evening, whether you're going to a Cowboys game or a Ranger game. In order to take, so let's do the typical family of 4. Family of 4 wants to go to that Cowboy game. They're in for about $2,000.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
that's absurd. I mean, when you consider, the meals and eating and tickets for the game, and then the parking. Ugh.
Yeah. So I got the only tickets available. They announced the schedule, and I waited like a week. I didn't wait that long. Like 4 days after they went on sale is when I went to buy it. There wasn't anything left but the standing room only. I do not recommend the standing room only tickets.
No, in the building
for
is not a
future
good ticket. No. Okay, what happened? How did you spend your show or your game? 3 hours of what? Just walking around being told to move by ushers? You can't stand here.
No. Okay, so
No.
in those decks, because I've always wondered what's in the decks that I've seen on TV, and I did go to a game there before, but it was my high school losing in the state finals 10 years ago. But they didn't have everything set up. They didn't have all the concessions on. They didn't have all the TVs on, and the lounges weren't set up, and the bars weren't open, and the club wasn't playing DJ music, and so it wasn't the
It's
real
like
experience.
Vegas. It's a football resort on Sundays at that place.
Football resorts. Oh man. So one of the cool parts is you find out what's in these decks when they have them all set up. And one of the decks, I guess Ford must have paid, a couple bucks here and there to have it set up as a Ford dealership. They had these
Oh, sure.
yeah, these cars that were just in boxes stacked on each other like Legos in these weird designs. And so there's like a diagonal truck about to hit you in the head when you're walking out the bathroom. It was really cool. They had each deck set up to be its own thing, and the top deck was like a lounge, baby. They had all kinds of couches, and they had the circle coffee table so you could put your nachos or your $10 beer on there. And they had giant screens set up, and that was actually where I watched most of the game. You could go kind of gut up to like try and look over the edge and see the actual field itself as it's going on. But there were people that already had the front row blocked off, like if you're going to be on the rail looking over. So what you really did is you stood behind those people and you watched it on the TV.
Yeah, you spent a good 95% of that game staring at the Jumbotron, right? I mean, you watched it on the screen.
The TV's behind me. Yeah.
You didn't like, because you were too far away to really appreciate the minutia of the game and the faces, but you could see all that on the Jumbotron. What's the point of going? Honestly, I get it. To say you were there, it's an experience. But if I was as big a Cowboy fan as you, I'd have been pissed off. Well, there's plenty of reasons to be pissed off, but I wouldn't have wanted to go. I prefer to watch big games from a couch with snacks and a bathroom and replays and pausing and all of that stuff. If my team was in the Super Bowl and somebody said, actually, push come to shove, dude, I had this moment when my White Sox were about to sweep the Houston Astros out of game 4 straight victories in the World Series. Bud Light, who was a big sponsor of our show, was loading up a plane at Addison Airport, flying to Houston for game 4. They invited me to come to the game. They said, get on the plane. Come on, jump on. We got a ticket for you. Jump on the plane. Come. You're biggest White Sox fan we know. And I said no, because I wanted to watch that game. I wanted to be able to watch the game. And when you're in a stadium, especially these modern ones, you may as well be at home. You're not really, the live experience is nil.
So it is just the experience, the actual enjoyment of the game is not even half of what it is. Because look, and it's also because I'm not a child with wonder in his eyes who's seeing all these things for the first time. I've been to a dozen professional football games at least at this point, and several stadiums now. And I don't need the wow factor.
You don't have any mythology built up around these players. You know that they're all just a bunch of borderline criminals. They're not superheroes to you.
Hell, I'm bigger than half of them. It's weird.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't recommend the standing. It's a cool stadium if you can get some decent seats. That is, it's set up cool. I can't believe how well the air conditioning works, because it was in the 90s outside, and you go in there, and not only was it cool, it was dry, and that was the best part. You got out of the sticky humidity, and that was my complaints about the Texas stadium. It was also pretty miserable when I went to that game in Tampa Bay, because it was hot. I mean, it cooled off, and finally there was a breeze after the sun went down, and so it wasn't so bad for the second half. But if you had like a nooner game, that would be miserable in outside fields, because I'm turning into an old crotchety man right in front of your face.
You don't like crowds. You don't like people. You don't like.
I do like crowds. I do like crowds. My wife does not like crowds. I know you don't really like crowds, do you?
I don't mind crowds. I get anxious in crowds lately, but I mean, I like any opportunity to people watch.
Boy, the people watching at the game was fantastic.
People watching on TV, the crowd shots are amazing. Yeah.
So there was some amazing things that were happening there. Now,
what are you
right outside the stadium.
What are you paying for a beer at a Cowboys game these days?
$10.
15? $10? Okay, it's not as bad as it could be.
No, I did get a couple collector's cup, and to get Dr. Pepper put in your collector cup, $9. I paid $9 for a soda, but I did want the cup so I can have it in the in the cupboard, and every time I go get a soda. But boy, they got me on that one. They got me good on that one.
I hate it.
Okay, so outside they have so much cool stuff set up outside the stadium that it's almost like it's a little fair park area. And I see what they're doing. You see that in like the pregame and halftime show, they have a sort of football field set up outside the stadium on one side,
Right.
and they have the stage on one end and the big monitors, the big TV screens on either side. That's a really cool scene because when I was in the stadium, you can go basically anywhere and see out. The whole thing's windows on the outside for the most part. And I was watching the people playing out there, and there were people who didn't even have to get in the stadium. They're hanging out on that turf with the big screens all around them and the big sound system and all the excitement and stage and vendors and drinks and food. And they didn't even have to buy a ticket. They were experiencing almost the same thing I am.
Well, they probably had to pay $50 to park.
Very true. Yeah. No, they're probably smart enough to Uber. So we ended up, after the game, we ended up hanging out on that little field outside the field.
Did you go to any bars? Did you go over to Texas Live and see that whole scene?
No. See, by the end of the game, by the way, it's ridiculously easy to sneak booze into the AT&T Stadium. I'm not saying I did it. I'm just saying if you wanted to do it, yeah, you don't really have to spend a whole lot of money on booze. But we were not 100% sober at the end of the game. So we're just down there like, woo, and on that little field. And then there was people that had all kinds of great setups for their tailgate. They didn't go to the game either. They set up TVs and they had food and they had drinks. And there were people singing karaoke like in the parking lot. In like the little grass ditch on the side of the parking lot. And so
it's a football resort. It's not just like going to a game anymore. There is so much going on. Every game you go to at AT&T Stadium is like going to the, a playoff game 20 years ago. I mean, the festival atmosphere is they could be 0-15 and they're still going to crank up the festival vibe thing.
And it's funny because when I parked and I walked to the stadium, I'm passing all these people that they have their tailgating set up. And I was like, oh, man, these people look like they're having so much fun. Oh, man, that'd be fun if we just like stopped and partied with all these people. On the way back, I was partying with all these people. I was stopping at every booth. We're all friends. Hey, go Cowboys.
How was the mood? All right, so we talked about all that. How was the mood? I mean, you're a Cowboy fan. Let's talk about that for a second. And I was like half asleep when I hope I wasn't rude yesterday. I'm sorry if I was rude to you guys when you showed up.
Dude, I was asleep 42 seconds after I got to your house.
Yeah. Good. So what was your thoughts on the game? Tell me what you saw.
Okay, now on the actual football game itself, by the way, it took me like 40 minutes to find my car. And so I have a picture of my car being like the only one in the back lot. I was the last idiot to find his car because we got separated going through the tailgates. So I did not go to any bars. I just went from drunken experience, partying straight to your house and sleep. But the game was god awful. There's not even a silver lining to this ugly, dark cloud.
No,
I think everybody played awful. I think the defense played awful. I think the offense played awful. The offensive line. Look, Tyron Smith's out, and that's a big deal. But it ain't that big of a damn deal that you can only get 3 points. You can't get a running game going. You can't really get a passing game going. The stats didn't even look good. Where's the turnovers? What's going on with that? And on top of it, Ding Dong snaps his wrist on a pretty pedestrian.
I swear to God. I know, right? It's like, okay, seriously? That requires surgery? Like when you see what happened,
and I get it. If his arm is stiff and it jams all that weight into his stiff wrist, it probably cracked some of those, what are they called? Carpals?
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just pissy. So the game's awful. The Cowboys are awful. The coaching decisions were awful. The play was awful. Like there wasn't anything redeemable about the game. I did have a blast, and everyone in the stadium wasn't fazed by it. Everyone was still screaming and partying and having a good time. And woo!
What was the makeup like? But what I mean by that is obviously a big Cowboys crowd. But I mean, was there were there a number of what was bigger, the Tampa Bay fans or the Brady fans? Like aside from the Cowboys
Brady
crowd,
fans.
who Brady fans came out?
Well, I mean, it overlaps because you got to think the Tampa Bay fans, even if they're not Brady fans or Tampa Bay fans first, they're probably wearing Brady jerseys. So
Okay.
almost every Tampa jersey you saw was a Brady jersey. It was more
Really?
than 50% of them. Yeah. Yeah. So the crowd that represented Tampa Bay in the Cowboy Stadium was smaller than the crowd I saw in the Tampa Bay Stadium for the first game of the season last year, representing Dallas in the Tampa Bay Stadium. There were more people that showed up in Dallas gear in Tampa Bay than Tampa Bay in Dallas.
Yeah, Cowboys are one of the travel teams. There's about 5 teams in the NFL that travel better than anybody else. Cowboys are definitely one of them. Tampa Bay, not really. Tampa Bay doesn't have the legacy. It doesn't have the,
right, the history. Yeah.
Honestly, so like Dak is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. He might either be back after the bye, or they say that he'll be back by October 30th, which is the game that I am going to, which is the Cowboys-Bears game. Bears fans travel really well. So there'll be, I imagine, but also like you want
me to drop you off, save you $50 in parking.
We'll probably Uber, or no, I imagine we'll have parking. One of my deals. So whoever I'm getting the tickets from, I'm gonna get thrown a little parking. We get a parking pass. So that could be a good game, but I will be representing the other team. My son will be representing the Cowboys, though. My kid will root for them, and I'll just root for the Bears, and we'll have a very ugly ride home because one of us are going to be a dick on the ride home.
Yeah, it shouldn't like bother me this bad, and I know it's just one game and one game.
Season's over.
That's
over.
What I feel like. Just take a knee. Just take a freaking knee. Yeah. My Sundays are open, until
Cooper Rush ain't
September
doing
of next year.
I'm sorry, there is no quarterback. They didn't plan for this. They should have. Dak Prescott is made out of paper mache. I mean, we've seen this with his injuries over the past 3 years. They didn't plan for this. They didn't have a backup. They just released. Was out there. You could have brought him back. He already knows the game. I mean,
are they just backing up a dump truck full of money to Jimmy Garoppolo's house, or do they even have cap space to do anything like that?
Jimmy Garoppolo now. You think San Francisco's trading Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy Garoppolo's worth went up 1,000% when Trey Lance shit the bed on Sunday. The guy that they moved on from Jimmy Garoppolo for sucked. Jimmy Garoppolo might start next week. Yeah, so how are you going to get him? And that would have to be a trade. What are they going to give up? Because they got to give up a whole lot. Because he signed as a backup, so now he's like the highest paid backup in history. Mm-hmm. I don't know who's out there. I really don't. I don't have a clue who's.
We're screwed. We're screwed. Season's over. Season's done.
Even Marcus Mariota got a start yesterday. It's like you're saying. It's like I don't know.
Times are lean out there.
Oh boy, yeah, it's bad to find a quarterback. Other than that, I thought that the entire game just sucked because I am a Cowboy fan. I do root for the Cowboys to win because when you live here, and anybody who lives here knows that life is just better around here when the Cowboys are winning. When the Cowboys aren't winning, everybody's in a pissy mood. Nobody wants to have any fun.
I am.
You know what I mean? It's all like, eh. But when the Cowboys are winning, it's, hey, you want to come over and watch the game? Hey, who's having the party next week? You know what I mean? There's always things to do. This is a very Cowboy-centric culture here. And just to have this happen on the first week where it's just like, God, nothing about that team looked good. They didn't look like they shut up to play. Now, I haven't been watching preseason. Did any of these guys play in the preseason?
Not really. That was you get a few snaps, you get it maybe the first quarter, and then you're done. I tell you who didn't suck, who is amazing, and I almost feel bad that he's on my team because we're so irrelevant. CeeDee Lamb. Love that dude.
Yeah, there's a really cool thing circulating right now on Twitter, the 88 Club. You know about this 88 Club?
Michael Irvin, Dez Bryant, CeeDee Lamb. There's
Drew Pearson. Yeah, Drew Pearson to Michael Irvin to Dez Bryant to CeeDee Lamb. Chipotle is doing this viral video. It's a commercial for Chipotle, but it's awesome. It's not like, hey, have a burrito. It's just it's not, it's a viral video of the 88 Club sitting in a Chipotle. They're eating, but they're not talking about Chipotle. They're talking about what it means to be a number 88 on the Dallas Cowboys. It's really a cool video. I shared it if you follow me on Twitter.
he's a dude that just so deserves to play in this area, either Texas, Dallas, Houston, maybe New Orleans,
Who's
because he
CeeDee
was,
Lamb?
yeah. So he was born in Opelousas, which is by Lafayette, like 1999. His family almost immediately moved to New Orleans, and then they got wiped out in Katrina. And so then they moved to Houston. They evacuated to Houston and never went back. He ends up going through high school in Houston and then goes to Oklahoma and then ends up in Dallas. So he has just been in the same little region of the world that I have been in, this 500-mile streak from Dallas to Houston to New Orleans, basically. And it's so cool that he gets to stay in this region after all that and play for the Cowboys. And he's so damn good. So I just love his story.
Unless he wants to move on. I mean, everyone always assumes that, people want to play for or in the area that they came from, but I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I'm from the Midwest. I'd like to
do.
be a New York Yankee, like if I was, or I guess we're talking about football. I wouldn't be in an LA Ram, that might be kind of cool right now. I don't know, just the idea of traveling. But that is, I didn't realize that CeeDee Lamb was a regional product.
Yeah, and it's that tough story, the Katrina evacuees. My wife, her house got wiped out in Katrina, and she had to evacuate to Texas for a long time, and now she's back here. So it's pretty cool. I love that storyline.
I remember that. That seems like it was just I'm sorry, I'm flop sweating. I don't know why. I am not feeling good. I'm not.
Are you sick?
Yeah, something's going on.
I think I was sick today, and the wife was kind of sick today, and Atticus was sick this weekend. There's something going around for sure.
Yeah, there is something. All right. So a couple of things. Well, here, let me see this. Let me see what we got. Sorry. There were a couple of things that I wanted to mention. They're gonna make me sign in. I'm sorry. Ooh. There we go. Give me a second. Why is everything? Yeah, I'll there. Just 1 second. Bear with me. Is my flop sweat visible on camera? It is. I am glistening a little bit. Ooh, boy, you can really see my scar. Look at that. Nope, goes there. Wow. Yeah, we were gonna do. I wanted to show that to you. Where the hell did James go? Okay, so he was frozen, and now he's gonna reconnect. All right, we're waiting on James to reconnect. Kind of need him here for this next conversation, but okay. So he's not going to reconnect. He's probably just. I really wanted to talk to him. Yeah, Byron, caught the Goodwill flu. I went to a Goodwill today. That was the weirdest thing. I on my Twitter, here, let me. Went in there. I was looking. Crap. Oh, let's see if we can get James in here. James,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What was the problem with the video? You were freezing.
Yeah, it went totally black on me. Could you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
Could you hear me before? Didn't you have a big announcement? I want to hear what the big announcement is before we forget.
Yeah, I don't. But I didn't say I'd have a big announcement on Monday. I said within the week, were my exact words on my big announcement. Oh, by the way, I will have a big announcement. There's a very big announcement. I did want to reach out or mention this. A number of people, 3 people, but 3 people. Let's. A number of people have reached out to me today asking me, I hate that I can't see you, James. Why is there no video?
Hang on, I'm fixing it.
All right. We'll wait.
Asking you what? I can hear.
Wait a second. Byron, that bullshit? April, ugh, seriously, Pugs? Get a grip, guys. I said my exact words were within a week I'll have an announcement. Nobody ever promised you I was making an announcement on Monday. As a matter of fact, the only thing I said about Monday was that I wouldn't be on Monday because I had a thing. And yes, that thing had to do with the coming announcement, but relax. There is an announcement coming. There's an announcement coming within the next couple of days. I can promise you that. James, you're there?
I'm here. I'm hearing all this. I'm sorry you can't see me.
It's hard because when I can see you, I can react to your body cues and all that.
You're talking to Hal 9000 from Space Odyssey. How about that?
It looks like that. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling good. I don't know what the heck is going on with me right now.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
Just starting to feel very, very weird.
What the hell's going on with this show? We couldn't do the sound effects. My camera died.
I know. I don't know. I'm just going to have to reboot everything. I guess it's been a number of days. Got to reboot everything. We'll try it again. We'll try it again tomorrow. This has been a terrible show.
Yeah.
I do want to mention this. 3 people have reached out to me and asked me about what's going on over at the Eagle. I guess Dan O'Malley and Alfie. Did you work with us when Alfie was there? When we had Alfie and Jeff?
No, I don't know Alfie.
You don't know Alfie? Okay. They were over there. They worked with Russ at the Eagle, and then when Russ passed, they were hosting his show. I think they called it the Treehouse or something like that. A bunch of people reached out to me today and said, what's going on? Did they get fired? Why are they off the air? Why is there no mention of them on the website anymore? And I don't know. I went to the website and I saw them on the website. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I did want to say, I mean, so Dan O'Malley, right, James?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dan's a good dude.
I did work with him for a long time. We had to sit in a booth with our backs to each other, and
Dan's a good dude. Dan's a good guy,
yep.
A nice guy. You root for guys like that. He had talent. He's good. He's holding his own as a show host. He is a show host. He's not just some little. But I wish him. I don't know. I do not know what's going on. So there you have it. I have no idea. My announcement has nothing to do with that. If you think that's not, I don't have any other information. But I did call over there. I called a friend of mine who works over there, and they said we don't know. But that's radio, right, James? They say it about.
So were they off today?
It was just music.
Okay.
It's just music. Hold on. All right. So John says he still sees the Treehouse on the website. Ugh. Some people on Facebook are saying that his wife posted something on Facebook a couple of hours ago. And it just simply said, everything happens for a reason, with a picture of a rainbow. Those kind of cryptic messages, right?
So he's gay now?
I don't know. What's that?
So he's gay now?
Just
the rainbow throws me off, man.
His wife.
She's gay.
Okay.
That's not very gay. So that's probably not it. So it's probably not that.
So I don't know. But I was once told by someone in radio that you're not really in radio until you've been fired twice. So
twice? I thought it was 5 times.
Well, maybe. Do people get 5 times anymore?
Are you kidding? I've got fired 5 times in like the first 2 years.
Right. You're old. I'm talking about now. Like if somebody was starting out in radio in the last 5 years, could be. You know what I mean? Like you don't really you get fired twice and then there are no opportunities because there's hardly any anyway. But I wish.
Well, there's 2,000 people going for 50 jobs is the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas there used to be, every day shift, 24 hours a day on 40 stations in every city had a job opening.
Yeah. So it used to be 2,000 people going for 200 jobs.
Well, at least it was a little better. At least it was a little,
It was better.
I somehow made my way through it, and
it was better than this show for sure.
But man, I just wanted, because a couple of people asked me thinking that I might know something, and I don't know anything. I don't have any I don't know people over there, but it did strike me, man, those days when you get fired in radio, James. That drive home, you know what I mean? It's just like,
oh, I know, yeah, it happens to me over and over.
When you go from doing something and getting paid, and in some cases paid well, You get doing something that isn't even a job. And then you have to think about punching a clock. Then you have to think about, oh crap, what do I do now? Oh shit, I got to get a real job. That's a rough day. You know what I mean? I've been through a couple of them. I know you have.
Oh my God, yeah, dude. One of my friends is up for a TV job, and he's like, I don't know if I should take it. What if I fail at it? And I go, Kenny, you know how many of my jobs I've failed at? All of them. Every single freaking one has ended up with failure. And it's like you're saying that every relationship can only end two ways, breakup or death. And it's the same thing with every radio show you ever enter into is either going to get canceled or die. That's it. Breakup or death. That's still all you got.
Very few people get to do the big retirement after 40 years. You know what I mean? It used to be a regular thing. You used to be able to do that, but not anymore. Now you get these icons. They just get no respect. You know what I mean? They're just gone one day. All of a sudden their show isn't on.
Sure. Yeah. The guy that's been on the AC station for the last 30 years. We'll plug in something off the satellite and just get rid of him.
And by the way, it's not about ratings anymore. Just because you lose your job in radio, it's not about ratings. It's about any number of other bullshit corporate factors.
I got laid off in first place.
Yeah. I have a person that I know in Chicago who for 15 years was the number one guy. Number one. I mean, he's making over $1 million a year for 15 years. And one day the book came out and he was still number one. And then he had to renegotiate his contract. And they offered him $300. Now it's a lot of money. They offered him $300,000. He was number one. Now that doesn't sound like an insult to you and me, James, but he was making like $2 million. So they're like, yes, you've done everything you've been doing. You're making $2 million. We can't pay you that anymore. So you did a good job. You did great. We couldn't ask for better results, but we're only going to pay you $300 now. Imagine that life downshift. I mean, look, nobody's crying for him. These are first world problems.
But he's probably losing the house that he bought in the last 10 years.
Well, I'll tell you what he did do. He's not, because he had enough money and, a few money.
Nice.
He walked away. He didn't take the job. And this is going on 6 years now. And he hasn't worked since. And he would kill for that job now. He would take that $300,000 in a minute. But it was an insult at the time because he was making $2 million and he had, done nothing to get a drop in pay. As a matter of fact, he should exponentially be getting more because he continued to do, hold on to his number one. I don't know. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, the advertisers started buying Google ads and Facebook boost and clicks and keywords, and there's not just enough of the pie to go around anymore.
Yep. Nope. So I do not know. Don't ask me anything about Dan O'Malley. I worked with him 5 years ago. I think he's a nice guy. I have no insight into what's happening over there. I hope that they're okay and that this is all just people overreacting.
And that's a big statement because in the radio world, to honestly say someone's a nice guy is a shockingly rare feat.
Oh, yeah. People in radio are assholes. They're narcissists.
Even the nice ones do sketchy stuff, like someone's got some addiction or they keep a side piece or they're into weird stuff. And no,
or they're klepto. It's just like a weird thing. They steal stuff.
But he's the guy that doesn't really seem to have the common foibles of radio mutants.
Remember that weatherman here in town who got caught? He was a klepto. He was like a big time TV weather guy. And he got caught in a Target stealing like a bunch of watches. He's a big time
radio is
TV
full
guy.
of those people. TV's full of those people too, but radio's just full of freaking mutants. Very disappointing.
His name was Glenn something. He was a weather guy here.
Let's just say it was Scott Stamps. Let's just say it was him.
There you go. Yeah, we'll just call it that.
We'll just
all right,
falsely
James.
accuse him.
Thank you for being with us. Appreciate you.
Am I gone? Can you even tell?
Yeah, you can go. I can't even tell. There he is. All right, he's gone. It says Dan has been posting real estate listings. I don't know what that means. This is a shitty business, and sometimes decent people have to just, navigate the shittiness. Look at what the dog did to me today. You see that? I know it looks Doesn't look bad. She gashed me. I bled all over the place. Stupid dog with her scissor paws. She jumped up. Oh, I like you. And she just ripped my flesh. Blood went flying. Tomorrow is another day, so please join us for high noon. I promise you, we'll be a little. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just feel really weak and tired. I'll be fine. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. High noon with me, Pugs Moran. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you guys hear anything about Dan or anything, I'd like to get him on the show. Like if he wants to break bad. Nah, I'm sure he doesn't. And I wouldn't do that anyway. I don't traffic in the negative anymore. It's not my brand. What is Jeff saying? Come on, Pugs. The Bears actually won on a shit year and have a better record than the Packers so far. No lies told there, my man. I'm fine with that. All right. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Noon.